Harris, thank you. Once again, your Uncle Sam is about to max out his credit cards, and he wants a bigger line of credit. The government is about $70 billion away from the national debt ceiling of $14,294 billion, and very soon, Congress will have to vote to raise the debt ceiling to avoid default. But it will not happen without a fight. Ohio Senator Rob Portman is a Republican on the Budget Committee. Would you vote to raise the debt ceiling if the vote were today, Senator?
Not without putting something in place to ensure we don't get right back where we were before. I mean, it's crazy for us to extend the debt ceiling without dealing with the underlying problem. And this is one of my big concerns with where the president has been. Less than 2 months ago, he submitted a budget that does not address our impending fiscal crisis. He's going to speak this afternoon. I hope he will finally have some specifics. I hope he asks for a mulligan on that first effort and says, you know, we've got to get serious about this. But I think every economist, right, left, or center, will tell you that we face an impending crisis unless we act. Every American will tell you this just doesn't make sense to continue to spend more than we take in.
Well, for instance, entitlement spending considered the big problem. Would you be in favor of, say, raising the Social Security retirement age or increasing the amount of payroll that gets taxed for Social Security?
Well, these are all things that need to be on the table. Well, the president will talk about this today, as I understand it, more in terms of what is not on the table. So he'll say that we can't do this, can't do that. I think what Paul Ryan did in his budget, we can disagree on some of the specifics, but it laid out a plan for us to address the entitlement spending. Why? Because it's the biggest part of the budget now, and it's the fastest growing part of the budget. And again, American voters understand this. They know that we have to deal with this issue. And I'm looking for some leadership from the president this afternoon on that.
Well, a number of Republicans especially have said that the president's leadership has been essentially absent over these last couple of months. Would you agree?
Well, absolutely. I mean, there's no question about it. The president's budget that he submitted was a 10-year vision for where to take the country. And in that document, he had the opportunity to address some of the problems that were raised by his own fiscal commission. You recall last December, a commission reported to the president about the need for us to address, among other things, the growing unsustainable entitlements. And the president chose to kick the can down the road. He punted. He chose not to deal with entitlements at all, not to deal with any of the pro-growth aspects that are also needed, including tax reform, and instead to propose doubling the debt in the next 10 years. Our debt's already at historic highs. As you say, we're pushing up against the debt ceiling. As a percent of our economy, which is how a lot of economists like to look at it, we're already dangerously close to 100% of our economy. So we're in a situation where we have to act, we have to address it, and we need presidential leadership to do that.
We will hear the president's thoughts on that in about an hour and 15 minutes or so. Rob Portman is an Ohio Republican in the U.S. Senate. Senator, thank you.
Thank you, John.